evening, everyone. 안녕하세요. We're very happy that you're here. My name is Vivian Lee. I'm co-chair of the board of directors at Korean American Story, which produced Happy Cleaners. And we're very happy to partner up with Asian American Federation to show this movie to you out on a beautiful night. We're so happy that you were able to join us. Happy Cleaners was the one and only non-fiction story that was put together with the help of a very amazing team of producers and writers. Before I go any further, I'd like to ask Ayoung Kim to come up. She's the Director of Economic Empowerment at Asian American Federation to say a few words.
My name is Ayoung Kim. I am the Director of Economic Empowerment at the Asian American Federation. Just a quick word about the Asian American Federation. We are an umbrella leadership organization supporting Asian American nonprofits across New York City and state. We work on advocacy, research, and policy to uplift the work of over 60 member and partner organizations. You may have noticed that we have these photo exhibition going on showcasing the owners of small businesses in Murray Hill area that have been keeping our community safe and uplifting our community members. So if you go over there to the desk throughout the evening, you can pick up our merch from that. And we also have masks for people if you're worried about the air quality here. Just a quick word of thanks to our partners today. Of course, Korean Community Media Broadcasting, who has put on all of this effort to make sure that we can have a quality sound and video. Thank you very much, Tommy. And of course, our partner, Korean American Stories. Thank you so much, HJ. I talked to Korean American Stories about doing this event last year, and I'm so glad that we could finally make it happen. And thank you so much for your patience and ongoing support for our community. Also with us is the Murray Hill Merchant Association. 김영환 회장님, thank you so much for your support. They are always making sure that our community is safe and our small business owners have the resources they need. Also, a shout out to Charles Ryu. Our dad is here. If you want to take a photo with him later. Hi, Dad. Thank you so much for joining. And then last but not the least, also joined here with us today is the members of the Korean Cleaners Association. They are the Dry Cleaners Association of New York in the Korean American community. And I'm so happy to have them here because, hey, the movie is about the cleaners, right? But also more importantly, the Korean Cleaners Association has joined us here today to give a plaque of thanks to Korean American Stories. So let's do that before we go into the panel. If I could have you up here with, and HJ, if you will join us here on the stage. So when the Korean Cleaners Association heard about this event happening, they wanted to say thank you to Korean American Story as well as the makers of this film because they felt that this is the kind of story we need in the community, something that shows us as is and also gives that appreciation and the gratitude for the community members that are creating this small business community, our Korean American community, and making sure that people know what's going on here. So on the plaque it says, appreciation, Korean American Story. Thank you for your significant contribution to raising the profile of the New York Korean dry cleaning business. President Sung-Kyu Kim, Korean Cleaners Association of New York.
It reminded me as I was working on that TV special, which by the way will air on CUNY television on the 4th of July. But if you happen to be home and want to see something about the Korean War, you're welcome to tune in then. It did remind me about the work that's done by Korean American Story. And Happy Cleaners, it was finished, it took many years to put together, but it was finished just before the pandemic began. And ladies and gentlemen, these are the producers and writers of Happy Cleaners. So thank you all for making this possible. We've done panels like this before, but only on Zoom, only online. So we haven't actually sat together to talk about Happy Cleaners since it first began distribution, right? Since it first premiered in December 2019, was it? It was a while ago. First, I wanted to ask you something because I think the people here are going to really appreciate the fact that when you watch Happy Cleaners, you're going to notice that it's set here in Murray Hill and Flushing in general. and it's almost like the neighborhood that has become home to, in my humble opinion, the real Koreatown. as opposed to Manhattan's Koreatown, which everybody thinks is the actual one, but this is where a lot more dreams, I think, are actually begun. Can you each talk about what your connection is to this neighborhood? Because you all claim this part of Queens home at one point, right? Peter, you first.
안녕하세요. 저는 피터 리고요. 여기서 이제 5살 때 이민 와서 컸어요. 그래서 여기 아파트 한 2블락 정도 거기서 컸는데 피에스토니까 아니면서 어릴 때부터 여기 많이 지나다녔죠. 그 웨일잔치, 돌밥 뭐 이런 거 먹으면서 컸으니까. 그러니까 완전히 저한테는 여기가 고향이죠. 그래서 저희 고향 이야기를 할 수 있어가지고 너무 좋았어요.
안녕하세요. 한국말로 할지 잘 몰라서 일단 하겠는데요. 와주셔서 감사하고요. 좀 뭉클하네요. 여기가 좀 아무래도 제 인생에도 중요한 곳이기 때문에 여기서도 참 많은 추억이 있었어요. 저도 여기서 한 몇 블럭 정도 살았거든요. 누나랑 같이 우리 다 여기서 걸어갈 수 있는 거리에 살았어요. 아무래도 이제 그때는 이제 한국 한인에 대한 얘기가 많이 없기 때문에 우리 얘기를 어떻게 하면 좋을까, 플러싱에 대한 배경으로 만든 얘기를 만들면 어떨까 해서 거기서 이제 같이 쓰고 단편 영화도 많이 만들고, 그 다음에 캣 누나 만나서 이제 해피클리너스 같이 이제 쓰고 Korean American Story를 이제 만들게 됐는데, 여기서 이제 보여줄 수 있다는 게 참 저에게는 감사하고 겸손해지네요. 네.
예, 안녕하세요. 저는 캬킨이라고 하고요. 저는 작가랑 이 영화의 PD님이고요. 저의 플러싱의 연결고리는 저는 늘 플러싱에서 살고 플러싱 출신이고 여기 몇 블락 걸어가면 지금 사는 곳이 있고 얘네들이랑 연결고리는 세상이 아주 좁아서 같은 교회 다녔는 걸 이렇게 깨달았어요. 그리고 저도 좀 뭉클거리네요. 또 저는 늘 플러싱에서 살고 그냥 플러싱이 나의 심장, 나의 마음, 그냥 나의 전부인 것 같아요. 또 이 영화를 통해서 우리 이야기를 나눌 수 있고 그런 걸 잘 전달했으면 잘 부탁드립니다. 또 제가 제일 좋아하는 식당은 함지박입니다. 또 저는 그냥 그만 얘기하라고 저를 아주 젊은 동네 이모라고 생각할 수 있을 것 같아요. 그래서 안녕하세요. 잘 부탁드립니다.
So I understood nothing of what you said. My Korean is really, really bad. I can sing 나의 살던 고향. I can sing that, but that's all I can say. What I do know is when I first met Peter, Julian, and Kat, I really appreciated the fact that they took a very personal story and they made it seem instantly understandable, instantly recognizable, and instantly lovable, because even though it was very personal, there was something very familiar about it to me. And I wasn't even born in America. I was born in Canada, and I moved here 20 years ago for work, and I didn't think I was going to stay, but then I met my husband, and I had my children, and now Korean American identity is a new stage of my life. So I want to thank you guys for getting together and deciding that this story was worth telling. By the way, Charles Ryu, who plays 아버지 in the film, is here with us at the back. I just wanted to point out we have a star in our audience, and he is from our community as well, right from here. My last question to each of you, because I think we want to, and this might be a long one to answer, is one, being Korean, filmmaking is not the first thing your parents probably inspired you to do, right? Or even pushed you towards. So what was it for each of you that made you want to tell this story this way? Peter, maybe you can start by talking about why it was important to put this story out there for the public to see.
일단 아까 형이 얘기했던 저희가 이제 이야기가 텔레비전 영화 보는데 우리 이야기는 없어요. 그래가지고 그냥 우리 이야기 있는 그대로 아주 거짓이 섞이지 않고 있는 그대로 그거를 보일 수 싶다는 그 마음이 가장 커가지고 단편부터 시작해서 그냥 우리 집에서 뭐 엄마랑 있었던 대화, 뭐 아빠랑 있었던 뭐 이런 모멘트 이런 거를 모아가지고 일단은 단편을 시작해서 근데 꿈은 이제 장편이었죠. 큰 얘기, 긴 이야기를 할 수 있는 거. 그래서 그냥 졸업하고 그냥 무조건 장편 만들자. 그거는 목표만 두고 했어요. 근데 목표를 두고 하니까 커뮤니티에서 이런 여러분 이렇게 서포트가 생기면서 이렇게 영화를 만들 수 있어가지고 이 미디엄에 그래서 긴 얘기 좀 우리한테 중요한 얘기 우리 있는 그대로 보여줄 수 있다라는 그게 중요했고 그리고 가장 큰 거는 이제 we always say like we made this movie for us, right? 그래서 우리가 우리 이야기를 큰 화면에 볼 수 있다라는 게 우리의 representation 할 수 있다는 게 너무 중요해서 그 목표만 생각하고 쓰고 만들었습니다.
그래도 저희 이 영화를 만든 아주 큰 이제 inspiration은 우리 부모님이죠. Our parents are definitely the biggest influence that we wanted to make this movie. 지금도 보면 저도 이제 각 빌딩들 보고 이제 저도 함지박 좋아합니다. 거기서 이제 많은 졸업식 뭐 아니면 생일 파티 거기서 삼겹살 구워 먹고 짜장면 먹고 그런 게 있죠. 근데 그런 걸 보면 그냥 단순한 식당이 아니고 단순한 매점이 아닌 정말 우리 부모님들이 피땀 눈물로 막 지은 이런 상가가 돼요. 그리고 그 외에도 우리 한인의 정체성을 알고 한인의 정체성을 아주 이렇게 살 수 있는 곳이기 때문에 너무 저는 플러싱이란 솔직히 말해서 처음에 되게 거부했어요. 너무 이 플러싱이라는 곳이 너무 좀 그렇지 않고 근사하지 않고 너무 이런 이민적인 이런 비주얼이 너무 많으니까 난 이곳에 나가고 싶다. 그래서 막상 이제 피르랑 저랑 캐시 누나랑 이제 이 영화를 만들 때 엄마한테 말했어요. 우리 이제 세탁소를 운영하는 이민 가족에 대한 한인 이민 가족에 대한 영화를 만들 건데 어떻게 생각하냐고. 엄마는 좀 별론 것 같은데 그거 되게 안 팔릴 것 같아. 그래서 좀 근사하게 좀 예쁜 얘기하면 안 되겠니? 근데 저희한테 너무 중요했어요. 우리의 얘기를 우리 부모님의 그런 희생과 사랑을 담을 수 있는 그런 주제로 만들었기 여기 와서 단순히 영화를 만든 것이 아니라 우리 부모님과 우리 이민 사역들 위해서 다 감사의 표현을 하고 싶다는 얘기합니다.
내 생각에는 우리가 안 하면 누구가 할까 그런 생각으로 이 영화를 찍어낸 것 같아요. 또 피르랑 주리안 저는 다른 역할이 있고 다른 일이 있었는데 그걸 접고 이 영화를 했어요. 그러니까 아주 중요한 얘기인 것 같아요. 또 생각해보면 뉴욕에 한인타운이 있고 텍사스에도 한인타운 있고 애틀랜타에 한인타운 있고 캘리포니아에 한인타운 있는데 우리나라에 한인타운이 너무 많잖아요. 그리고 한국 사람들이 되게 우리나라에 임팩트가 있잖아요. 그래서 우리 사람들의 representation 그걸 하려고 이 영화를 찍은 것 같아요. 그게 되게 중요한 얘기를 해야 될 것 같아요.
I think we have time for one more question. This movie, your film came out before the pandemic, and now with the pandemic, 3 years of it kind of behind us, I'm wondering if you could talk about what the issues were that you wanted to bring out to the public about an immigrant's life, about a neighborhood like Koreatown, any ethnic enclave where a culture tends to focus and zone in its life on. It has like a certain rhythm and a certain meaning to people. But after the pandemic, and especially after anti-Asian this were happening, stories like this started to take on a different meaning. Can you talk about how it may have changed in significance for each of you, especially considering that a lot of cultural centers like Koreatown are suffering. They're really suffering for business. Can you answer in English?
Please.
Yes.
Oh yeah. We have young audience too. Oh yeah.
I was actually planning to. I think it's a positive thing that somehow Happy Cleaners, the time it was released and versus now, there's been so much more Asian API content, which was great, which we celebrate. But I think, as to your point, there is some pain behind, showcasing that. I think the motivation and how relevant the story was during the pandemic, because we released it online at the peak of 2020, and we started distributing the story. I think the good thing was that because we were able to do that, it brought families together to share and watch the movie together. So the pandemic physically brought families together to watch the story, which was great. But I think also as a society and country, we were going through a lot of pain, and hopefully that comes from not really knowing about who us, right? So I think for us to tackle that and attack that is by showing, hey, we are not just a one-dimensional being, but we are layered. We have families, we have roots, and we are equally rich in culture as we feel. So I think Happy Cleaners, showcases that, and I hope that people watch this and be like, oh, okay, so this is what a part of a Korean American experience can look like, and not see oh, this is the Asian person who just speaks Ching-Chong, whatever, right? But they see layers of depth within.
I would also like to repeat what I said earlier. There's Koreatowns in New York, there's Koreatowns in Texas, there's Koreatowns in Atlanta, Los Angeles. There's so many Koreatowns, and that's just a testament to say that our Korean American community has such an impact in this country, and we are part of this makeup just as well as everyone else. There's also so many good things and cultural risings in terms of America, digesting Korean culture. There's K-pop, there's K-food, and it's just so popular, and that's all good and beautiful and everything. But I think with the good, we also need to take the bad, and that's also part of the negative stories and the things that we take as Korean Americans. I would be remiss to say that all of those attacks and all of that violence against Korean Americans during the height of the pandemic wasn't racially involved. It's very racially charged. So again, with the good that we take about Korean culture, we want to say that there were so many bad things that we suffered as Korean Americans in America. But it's also to highlight, we are just as part of this country as everybody else is, and we are making an impact in this country as Korean Americans.
But the pandemic has shown us that with the impact of the small businesses that are getting economically impacted to the actual physical attacks that our community has been impacted, I think it's more important to say, hey, this is humanity. We're just sharing our humanity to those from outside the community. We're real people too. That's one hope, but at least for those from the community, we just want it to be an opportunity to to validate your experiences in a different medium. And so we're hoping to have hit some point one of those.
Thank you to Peter, Julian, and Kat for their comments beforehand. And after the movie, please stick around because they will be here to take your questions if you have any. So feel free, because that conversation always is worthwhile to find out, what went into making the movie. And I just want to thank you personally for, again, bringing forward a story that not a lot of Korean Americans, especially the immigrant class, want to share. They just want to work hard and make sure their children are succeeding, but this film shows what happens behind the scenes, and very lucky to have it told. So thank you to Peter, Julian, and Kat, and ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy Happy Christmas.
I said I'm going. Soy latte, 1 medium cold brew, little ice. Order for Humphrey.
Order for honey? 이제요. 그래서 그냥 새벽같이 일어나가지고 가게 나와서 청소 다 해놨더니
Scene with Honey and her mom happens, I just like, oh. And then of course all the scenes where the cooking, Korean food is being cooked, and I remember all these dishes from my childhood. It's just, it feels like home all the time. So Peter, Julian, Kat, as well as Charles Ryu, he played Aboji, Dad, in the movie. And we also have Ayong here, back from Asian American Federation, to interpret. In case there are Korean-only speakers who want to ask a question.
궁금하신 점 있으신가요, 혹시? 어디서 찍었는지, 왜 영화 이렇게 만들었는지 이런 편안하게 질문하시면 될 것 같아요. 이소미 선생님.
저는 가슴이 뭉클했어요. 눈물 났어요. 저도요. 아버님 연기가 좋았어요.
She was really touched. She really loved the dad's acting.
혹시 어떤 계기로 감동이 되셨나요?
So the question was like, what was the inspiration for shooting this? Why did you become a director? Why did you make this movie?
In the beginning, I wanted to make like a lot of sci-fi, some out of the world stuff. And film was my favorite medium. I thought there's something beautiful about, holding a camera and making movies and telling stories through it, and working with, actors and people like that. But my roots actually started from making church videos in Flushing and making skits and doing various like revival videos. And then I met Peter through church, and we never actually made church videos together, but we shared a lot of visions in terms of the kind of stories we wanted to tell. A lot of stories about our community, about Korean American identity, about what it means to be Asian American heterosexual man in America. And I think we bounced back a lot of ideas and stories, and we started off working on a web series called Flushing Web Series. You can check it out on YouTube. And the first episode is actually about Murray Hill, and it was about just whatever little snippets we could find about what it's like to grow up in Flushing. And I think the big the piece that really got us to who we are was probably homework from that episode. Which you want to share?
Well, yeah, so I think a lot of us, we just grew up watching TV. Our parents were TV's our babysitter, and you realize just the stories that are out there, they're not about us, ever. And while that's kind of going on in the back of my mind, like, I still very much loved that medium of television and film, and then sort of pursuing that, and one day just kind of click, like, well, gosh, like, we should make more stuff about us, like, not let somebody else tell our narrative, because they're not going to do it right. So that really kind of was the genesis of all of this, and working with Julian, working with Kat, working with American Stories, just it allowed us opportunities to keep creating in incremental steps, and here we are, kind of like a feature-length film about our community. So that's kind of what happened.
우리가 미국에서 살고 특히 동부에서 살고 그리고 여기 플러싱에서 살고 있는 그 주민으로서 너무나 공감할 수 있는 영화라서 너무 감사드리고요 먼저. 그리고 감독님의 다음 과제 여기에서 이 영화를 만드시고 다음 과제가 앞으로는 어떤 비전을 갖고 어떤 방향으로 나아가고 싶으신지 이 영화를 보고 너무 궁금해졌습니다. 그래서 그 부분을 좀 듣고 싶습니다.
I think we touched upon it earlier, and we were talking about a lot of aspects of who we are as Korean Americans. Firstly, representation. Peter alluded to this earlier, that there's so little people who look like us on the big screen. Not even on the screen, but behind the screen, who works in any kind of production. That's the first one. And secondly, I alluded to this earlier, there's so many Koreatowns in America, which speaks loudly and speaks volumes as to Korean Americans doing an impact or having such a big impact on our country. And we just really want to highlight the fact that Korean Americans are here, we're going to stay here, and we're going to make bigger impacts in America. So why not us? And for us, in terms of projects, we really want to highlight those stories even more. Our white counterparts, they have stories about every single aspect of their lives. They have bad movies, bad shows, and everything, but it's all about white America. So why can't we have that? I want to put out bad Asian stuff, good ones. I want to put out as much as possible so that we can really continue making an impact and continue telling our stories that are so forgotten in so many years.
That's an interesting reply, actually. I think it was something like 65% of the crew, so the people who made this movie behind the camera were Korean Americans, and then I think over 75% were Asian American. So it wasn't just the story in front, but the story that was happening behind. The people who were employed to bring the story to life for you, they represented and were representing our community.
We have one more question from the audience. They were asking, are all actors and staff from the movie, from this area?
All of them were living in the New York City area at the time, yes. Not right now, but yeah, when we are auditioning and filming, they all lived in the New York City area. Yes, they were students finishing their studies in Manhattan.
And the next time, we'll just watch for each of their names. Kat Kim, Peter Lee, and Julian Kim. Just watch for the next works that they're going to put out. And thank you for your support.